brother Peter Gould. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Tell us, Gould Studio, what is it?
So I've been leading out this design team for, it's actually coming up to about 20 years now. And it's been really a blessing in that time to lead a design team. So design is really all about change, so design is not just graphic design or fashion design or interior design. Really, design is looking at something, looking at the heart of what that problem is and trying to improve it or change it. So, if you look at our design team like us, we have about 15 staff. We're in Sydney, Dubai, Jakarta. And our intention really is to benefit hearts with design, connect communities, and create meaningful brands and products that people actually resonate with and they care about and they get joy from, and it resonates and aligns with their values. So we really tried to focus on brands and products that when people see or they look at it something lights up in them and they really feel this, there's something going on in this app or this product or this brand where they're like, yes, these people get me, I want to their kind of story is reflected in some way in that product. So and really in the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years, you're seeing this incredible flourish of, I kind of call it heart-centered design or heart-centered entrepreneurship. You see in everywhere from Indonesia to Istanbul, London, San Francisco, Riyadh, Jeddah, Dubai, just about everywhere. And you see this incredible growth of often younger people, but creating startups, this entrepreneurial mindset. This I think has always been in the tradition and been in a Muslim creative legacy and this a wonderful heritage of innovation has definitely been there. But it's very interesting now when you see when you start adding big numbers in scalable digital products and platforms. You start seeing investment funding. You start seeing VCs in the space. You see a lot of high net worth individuals and angels coming to this space, and you see some great success stories starting to come through, and some exits and some big players also moving into the space, like big consumer brands like Nike and other brands looking at, look at this Muslim consumer space. It's huge. We need to understand it more. So you have a number of factors at play. And you have a very large Muslim population globally that's very diverse, as we know, many cultures, many languages. But really, we're talking about things where you're creating brands or businesses that really speak to some the spiritual aspirations that people might have, or that for their families, their children, what they kind of aspire to have spiritually. But meaningful products, brands that can resonate with those things. So I think we've had 2 beautiful examples already tonight, and happy to share a little bit about our story too.
MashaAllah, that's great. Yeah, we would love to hear about how did Peter Gould become Peter Gould, and how did Gould Studio essentially become Gould Studio? Where did you start? And just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you the abridged version. So I was practicing as a graphic designer, freelance graphic designer, when I was at university before I was Muslim, and I was just figuring out a lot of things in life around a short period of time. And I kind of think of my creative path and my professional design career and my spiritual path, and trying to understand Islam and understand big questions in life and meaning and purpose. It just so happened that they kind of to be around the same time, and I've always felt the two have had this link. And what I've been able to really appreciate that there's an incredible beauty and potential when you look at design and what the role of design in our world today. So if you think, if you pick up your iPhone or you look at any product you use today, or any experience, especially if maybe our friends in Melbourne are having to do orders from home or digital things from home, that's an experience that someone's designed. So someone's created that app. Does it work well? Someone's created the thing that you buy, interact with. They're all design teams. It really impacts us every day and every moment. They're all decisions. But I think there's really a very powerful momentum of when you bring a spiritual lens to that. Like Ahmed said, bring your intentionality to it. Your ikhlas, your sincerity. So the story of our design team has really been one trying to serve community and work for clients and organizations and brands that are serving their community. But also in recent years, we've had a go at building our own products in-house. So getting some funding and building some products that we've been able to do and ship globally around the world to many countries. So yeah, it's been an exciting, challenging, rewarding journey of entrepreneurship, creativity, but really looking at that spirituality that underpins all of that.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's amazing. Could you tell us about the team? What does Gould Studio at the moment? What are you guys doing? Who's the team? What the makeup?
Yeah, no problem. So we have our leadership team in Sydney and Dubai, and most of that team has been with me for coming up towards 10 years. But then we've expanded a lot of our design support team in Indonesia. So we have, for example, 5 amazing full-time designers in Indonesia that's growing as well, that have been able to help support with some of the different time zones. And I think an example of the beautiful richness and potential in our global creative our creative community, and especially in a year like 2020, you're seeing this is just such a although very challenging and difficult year. It's also, I think, full of potential and opportunity and transformation. So, we as a team have tried to do that. We've looked within. We had some projects at the start of the year that were looking, huge, but they were linked to events. So in Dubai, had this Expo 2020. Because of COVID, a lot of things changed. A lot of projects got had to just be postponed or cancelled. So many creative teams and design teams globally saw suddenly a lot of change. So we had to, like others, adapt and look at why do people come to us? Why have we had same people coming to us and referring us for the last 15 years or more? So having, I think, a great team is absolutely at the heart of that, and a team aligned on culture and values. And it doesn't have to be faith. Obviously the underpinning values and alignment, are there, but we have people from a range of backgrounds and faiths in our team. And I think that diversity is essential for innovation and for bringing different perspective and lens to what we do and what we try and create for people.
MashaAllah, that's great. I'm wondering, a lot of the attendees would like to know, because you're dealing with quite high level clients. How do you build that client base to begin with?
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone that's just sort of growing in those early days, I think both our previous kind of speakers gave a great example of like their passion and the heart that they bring to it. But also it's regardless of how big or how large an organization is, it's individuals that you're dealing with and individuals that you're building relationships with. So just being able to get to know someone and spend some time with them, and people will kind of connect after a while what you're about. And it's I think just building those relationships over time, knowing that if you take a long-term view of what we're trying to build and what you're trying to establish for people, and helping their brands in their journey, then that's really what it's about. And I think in Islam, the kind of spiritual term around barakah, this idea of blessing, I think that becomes very important in any business. So if you try to do things with that intentionality, with ihsan, with a real craft and love and appreciation for the beauty, and also seeing your work and your talents not as yours but as an amana given to you, like a trust. So if you kind of imagine, I feel I at least lead this beautiful design team. It's also a trust. You've been given and gifted these things from God. Don't think that you're this special kind of genius, Steve Jobs kind of figure. It's no, you although you've worked hard and whatever, it's really knowing that you have this opportunity, this platform. What are you doing with it? We'll be asked like how we serve people through it. And of course, you need a sustainable, healthy, hopefully solid, profitable business. But you also need to know that primarily you're looking after individuals, families. You're dealing with people that have hearts. And I think if you just carry that approach through life to who you're working with, your suppliers, your team, your clients, then over time you'll hopefully God willing, inshallah, attract the right people and become a magnet for use the phrase like-hearted people. So not necessarily like-minded, because you want to have people from different perspectives and people that are numbers people from this tradition or path, but like-hearted in that together collectively we're trying to do something beautiful. And the world needs us right now. We've got a lot of division and difficulty in the world. So what can we design? What can we make? What can we help bring into the universe that just makes it a little bit more beautiful or positive for some person or some family, whether that's through a product or a brand or food delivery service, or through archery that connects families. Like all of these things are just great examples.
On that note, I was wondering, obviously there's a lot of great things in business. There's a lot of success stories that you have, the sweet moments that you enjoy. But the flip side is also true. There's a lot of challenges. Every challenge is an opportunity, but nonetheless, it's a struggle, whether it's for immediate good or for long-term good, or whether it would never eventuate potentially. What was the most challenging time for you, and how did you go about resolving that or facing that challenge?
Yeah, great question. And I think, excuse me, and I think a classic one for any, would-be entrepreneurs or people on that, the path of trying to build something, get anything going with momentum. It's an incredible amount of work, and it does take, so much from within you. But it's also, I also feel that if you've been gifted with that inspiration and that spark that you really want to try this or build this business or do this thing, there's a reason it's kind of been sent to you. And I also feel like, we almost feel like it would be a shame not to try and bring that into the world, or at least apply it. It doesn't mean everyone should go out and just try and build a startup. I wouldn't recommend that, but maybe you could help someone who's building a startup, or, look at what community circles are around you that you can help bring some of your talents to. And, I think the key word is what you're doing with mecacollective is building this ecosystem. And I've seen this work really wonderfully in a number of countries and cities where you see this strong Muslim, entrepreneurial ecosystem, but connecting on value. So it's not just you have to have hit a certain box to come in the door, but really connecting people that have that that like-heartedness. So there's been lots of trials and challenges. 15, 20 years of trying to get things going. Then I'm sure any entrepreneurial founder, or someone trying to lead a company or build a team, or even just be a dad. I have 3 kids, and try to do all those things. That's something we don't often talk about. Is actually the beyond just our business aspirations. Really, the challenge we're trying to navigate is ourselves and the problems we have looking within, but also being great family member, person, or in the community. You have to navigate all of these things together. So drawing on having good companionship around you, good sahba, good guidance, seeking wisdom, seeking a lot of the answers they're there, but being open to them, and helping others through sort of the journey. So there's plenty of stories I could tell you, but I think it's just staying committed to that, the sort of the distant mountain or that vision that you're trying to get to. And I think Ahmed said it really well. Have that right level of intentionality and sincerity. Bringing, one of my teachers said, if you bring ikhlas to anything, that sincerity, that's really the heart of whatever it is you're going to do in life. Is how sincere are you about it? So it might just be building a tiny micro business, or it might be, I'm going to build the next $1 billion startup, and the Steve Jobs thing, make the dent in the universe. And I think that both paths are okay. And one is not necessarily more successful than the other. You have to look at your definition of success. Maybe it's just waking up in the morning with sakina in your heart and tranquility, and knowing that your business has done some good in the world. And we don't have to champion necessarily, the unicorn startup model as the success story. But I think we are on our way to see more of those as well. So last thing is, so for example, a company we work with closely called LaunchGood, based out of the US, has been a really good example, I think, of the rising stars of Islamic economy and Muslim lifestyle market, where they have over 1 million users now. They raised over $100 million through their platform. They raised, I think, in Australian dollars, about nearly $50 million this Ramadan through hundreds of thousands of users. And so what does that require? That requires all of that spiritual foundation, but also you have to know how to run a team, how to hire well, have a good tech stack, have a good UX, UI. You have to understand all of these things in parallel and be authentic, and your users are smart. They'll know if you're trying to, approach things in a way that's cutting corners. You've got to bring all these things together. And it's really a blue ocean of potential now when you see what these startups are starting to do. And it's great that you've got MECA putting the spotlight here within Australia and Southeast Asia. It's really promising time.
When you first started out, were you afraid of failure? And is that still really a reality? I think that's something that's pressing for everybody. How do you address that?
Yeah, I think it's a very fair question. And I think if I'm honest, when I did start freelancing, which was about the age of 17, 18, 19, I was, because I really felt like I was trying to prove myself, and I didn't. I was just coming to learn, and I was also having a big spiritual journey at the same time. So, I was trying to understand my identity and place in the world, and I was very conscious about, I don't want my, I don't want this thing to fail. Like I need, I really, I was putting that a lot of on myself, at that time. But I think over definitely the last 15 years, as I've, come to, I feel, live the entrepreneurial path a little more, and build a funded startup and help other startups, and serve big corporations, small enterprise as well, is see failure in a different way and reframe it. And alhamdulillah, I did a 2-year Stanford course, and the whole mindset of course in Stanford Innovation, and D School, Design Z School, is all about reframing failure as learning. There's no failure, there's only learning. So that's definitely the kind of signature advice you get from most of the kind of founders there. But that can be easy to say and hard to practice. So I think it's the mindset really for people. I would just say this is really think of whatever you're building or doing now. Don't invest everything into that as being it for the rest of your life. It's do your best to make it work. I wouldn't feel I wouldn't celebrate if things are just not working out for you all the time. But I would say that you're always in a path of iteration and prototyping, both in terms of your business you're building and the ideas you're working on and trying those out and iterating, but also in your own life and story. So you're trying out, maybe you're a founder, maybe you're donating time to this, maybe you're kind of playing with these different sliders of, a bit more creative expression here, a bit more impact project here, but also your financial engine that powers, whatever you need to do in life. So I think just, the mindset of learning, changing, iterating. It's okay if it didn't work out, but what did you learn from that? It's only failure if you don't learn from it.
Just to wrap it up, a last piece of advice for the attendees that have joined in. What would you like to?
Yeah, thank you. No, I think I'd just probably extend what Ahmed said already beautifully so earlier, is about bringing your niyyah to it, bringing your intentionality to it, and being, having a clarity of purpose. And as Muslims or people on the spiritual path, for us, that's very much aligned with our spiritual aspiration of getting closer to God by serving people and trying to do our best work here and put our best effort in. So I'd say really, look at our spiritual aspirations and the teachings we have in our ikhlas, in our niyyah, bringing this real sense of amana, like what we're trying to do here, what we've been given as a trust, and having ridha, having this gratitude and this shukr if things aren't going away, really accepting that with accepting that there's a higher wisdom there, and then trying to appreciate barakah, the blessing that is essential part to make anything happen. So I think just that intentionality and that sincerity of that is great advice that will serve anyone over path you're on in your career, whatever that next chapter is ahead, but trying to do something beautiful and meaningful with your time here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brother Peter Gould. I urge all the attendees to check out Peter Gould if you don't know him already, which I think you do. Please engage with his social media and Instagram and check out Gould Studio.